slurping, Ian?
Yep.
You got your Diet Coke slurping?
Yep.
It's a CU podcast. Number 161, I believe, for Tuesday, May 21st, 2019. Still past birthday month. Alongside Ian Ferguson, I'm Pat Contry. On the show today, we'll be discussing lots of goodness. We're discussing Sega Genesis Mini adding 10 more games to their lineup. GameStop potentially changing their power-up rewards. The Indie Retro console on Kickstarter. Tales from the Game Store making a comeback. Mm-hmm. Ian's already yawning. That's a good sign. Q&A as well. Ian, how was your Taco Fest?
It was fantastic. I think we split something like 8 tacos, 9.
Street taco size, the small ones?
Most of the time, yeah.
I was going to say, the small ones, you can pack them, we'll probably eat like 10 of those over the course of the day.
There was a good number of small ones, and then there were some larger ones that we split, but everything was good this year. The number one taco for me was the TKO fish taco from Sandbar. It was, they took a tortilla, crusted it with cotija cheese so that it was like crunchy and melty.
Okay.
Marinated Dorado, slaw, mango jicama salsa, and then a bunch of crispy fried onions right on top. It was out of control.
You know, I'm on intermittent fasting, Ian. You know, it's 9
I'm well aware. I think the entire world is well aware of your intermittent fasting.
I didn't need the mouth watering on my mic at 9 a.m. this morning.
Well, then I'll leave it there. I'll leave it without describing any of the other tacos. But
it was a good time. You pay to get in, then you go off on tacos.
You pay to get in, and then you pay for the tacos. But there's also like music and stuff like that.
Is there like games to play?
Spin
a taco wheel.
There's like there's Lucha Libre though. There's like 4 matches.
Really, they got in rest in peace, the Silver King who passed away last week. I just knew him from WCW. That's
against
all.
Juventud, I think.
Yeah, Juventud. Well, he was a young kid. He's got to be late 30s right now. But Silver King, I think, was early mid 50s.
Yeah. So that was that. I saw that last week. That sucked. But yeah, Taco Fest has Lucha Libre, and then there's also 2 heats of Chihuahua races, and
come on,
and a Chihuahua beauty pageant.
They're really leading into this.
Yeah,
they're really leading the hell in. They're like, you know what? Fuck it. Lucha Libre, Chihuahuas. We're gonna.
This year we did not. Stick around for the musical act. The musical act this year was Nelly.
Nelly!
We
back in 2002 with Nelly.
Last year was Salt and Pepper, but that was fantastic.
Oh.
That was fantastic. I was so happy there.
And you were tweeted at by the DJ, right?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Spinderella.
Spinderella, that's right. Salt and Pepper helped make Pat a man back on the box music television you control. And then Vogue and groups like that. Real quick, I'm going to open up. People have been asking me to open up the Yoga Cat that Vonnie gave me last week. I'm hoping for either the dancer pose black cat, adorable, or camel pose cat right there.
Let's see what we get here.
It's Blind Box. Blind Box.
It's exciting. You know, some people make livings just doing this.
I know, seriously. I guess we should just switch to it. I'm surprised there's not more retro game ones. I'm trying to. Maybe we should sell them at the conventions. Oh my God! It's the one I wanted.
Oh, sweet! You got Dancer Cat.
Wow! What's the odds of that? Well, Ian, the odds are 1 in 6.
Yeah,
that are the odds. Wow! Seriously, this is the one I wanted. Look at that Dancer Pose Cat, which I can do. I'm flexible for a guy. Look, they even supported his cute little belly.
Yep.
Or her. Well, I can't see it. Can't tell. This is going up here.
There you go.
There we go. That gets added. Thanks so much, Vonnie.
How perfect.
That is perfect. That's one I wanted. I would have been fine with any of them, but that the side stretch is pretty good too.
Yeah,
that's a good side stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Slurp. So the NES book is officially out of stock. I said it last week, according to some people on Twitter trying to make light of it. Well, you probably sold like 5 copies. No. That's not. I'm not bragging how many copies sold, but it's out of print. It's sold a decent amount, but you can pre-order it at ultimatenes.com or also pre-order a certain Super Nintendo guidebook. I'm starting to finally do like the compilation in terms of, so the writing's all done for the Super Nintendo book. There's been rewrites being done and things of that nature, and still waiting on some assets, some card assets, things like that. That's why it's been a little bit slower going than I would like. But I'm actually doing the compilation, actually placing things inside. It's not magic. There's no script to do it. The composition, and it's an Adobe program called InDesign. which is like there's only like 2 or 3 programs that you can use. You can use Microsoft Word even. There's a way you can do it there's no more Microsoft Publisher that used to be back in the day. I don't think that even exists anymore, as far as I know. But they put it into Microsoft Word. But I'm like knee deep into this now. I'm up to I think I'm up to late F's in like a day and a half of work, and this is grinding work. But you know what calms me down is watching. I love watching old poker shows, and the best of them. And because I love Texas Hold'em and I want to play it professionally. I think it's like a dream of mine. And the best of them is high stakes poker. Now the good news is that these are all online on YouTube. Like someone uploaded them all, and the quality is all good. I don't think it's like the official whoever owns it. I don't know if Poker Stars owns it, the rights, but high stakes poker was on from like 2006 to about 2011 or so. It was like 7 seasons. Only the first 6 are good, and I'll tell you why in a second. But if you like poker even in a little bit, the only thing on TV before that is the World Series of Poker, which is tournament poker, which is totally different than high stakes poker. High stakes poker is cash game poker, which is played entirely different strategy. It's a lot more bluffing, a lot more huge raises when you have nothing. Because it's cash, and people are less likely to put all their money in on cash. And people that were on the show were both tournament players and cash players, and they brought their own money. They were only paid, I think, like $1,200 an hour by Game Show Network to be on the show. So they brought $500,000 to the table. Daniel Negreanu, who has his own masterclass, which is funny, and I see his commercial. Daniel Negreanu brought $1 million one time in cash, big stacks with chips on the table. Jesus. So it's fascinating how these professionals. They act like they're playing with nothing when they're playing with hundreds of thousands of dollars of money. And a lot of pots go all in sometimes with like recklessly, with like nothing or marginal hands. And I apologize if out there you don't know nothing about poker. But I'm going to tell you why this is interesting. It's interesting just because you have such a wide array of characters. You have these like the tight, newer internet kids that are like literally early 20s. That started happening in the mid 2000s before that online poker was all made illegal in the U.S. in 2011, I think, or 12, whenever it was, Black Friday, when they knocked down the 3 big sites online. But then you have the old guard, like you have guys like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe the old cowboy, Doyle Brunson, who was like one of the original guys that would like do like the barnstorming games like in the 60s, driving around Texas when guys trying to like rob with shotguns. That's how, when poker was illegitimate still. It wasn't a legitimate thing yet. And so he's there, and he's got the old school style. He literally wrote the book on Texas Hold'em. And he's facing these young kids. And then you have like these amateurs with way too much money that get in, like these restaurant tiers and people that they know they're out of their element. They know that they're getting outplayed, but sometimes they hit a hand. Right. So they're in there too. And like Jerry Buss, who passed away, he was on the first season, ex-owner of the Lakers. And then you have probably the coolest person on the planet, Sammy Farha, who is probably best known for being the runner-up, I think it was a 2003 against Moneymaker, who was the amateur that sort of kicked off, him winning the World Series of Poker, sort of kicked off this modern poker era. And Sammy Farha is a Lebanese businessman who has the slick back hair. He's got the gold chains, the jewelry, and he has he has a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He's like what you think of like the prototypical poker player.
Yeah, I've seen him.
And
I'm looking at him.
He's the fucking best because he's good natured, but he's still like doing psychological warfare, and he'll bet with absolutely nothing. He'll just bet with nothing, I got 7-4 offsuit. Yeah, I'll put in 2,000 and raise it up. And he's such good natured about it that he made those episodes so fun. And then you get brilliant guys like Phil Ivey, who used to be known as like the best poker players in the world, and he was like 29, 28. And then you have this awesome commentary by AJ Benza, who used to be Hollywood Stories, and then Gabe Kaplan, who was Welcome Back, Kotter. Yeah. He was a poker player for a while, and Gabe Kaplan was so hysterical, and their chemistry was so good with AJ acting as a straight man, and then Gabe Kaplan doing the one-liners and with the setups, but also having really good insight into the game at the same time. Brilliant show. If you like poker at all or curious, check them out. They're all on YouTube. Someone has a playlist of all of them. Just look up High Stakes Poker. First season's a little shaky. Season 2, it gets going. And then for some reason, they got rid of AJ Benza for season 6, but kept Gabe. And then for season 7, they got Norm Macdonald, got rid of Gabe Kaplan inexplicably. And then so season 7 is terrible because of that. Not that Norm was bad, But Norm did not have the insight of someone like Gabe Kaplan, who had played poker for like 45, 50 years, or 40 years. Gabe Kaplan was like 60 at the time the show was on. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about high stakes poker. You ever know if you ever watched it or not, but I love the show. And it's actually therapeutic. It's like ASMR almost to hear the chips all getting shuffled by the players and they hear the commentary. So that's all I'm going to say about high stakes poker.
I've never been able to follow poker as like a visual thing. Like
It's very strategic. I mean,
it is. I've always enjoyed the game, but I haven't played since I moved out here. But I used to play with the people in the kitchen at the restaurants that I worked with.
What would you play? What game?
Hold'em.
It was Hold'em? Okay.
Yeah. And I was pretty decent. I mean, I always left with money, not losing money.
So you play with like tip money?
Yeah, and I mean, it was so big in Buffalo for a while that everyone had their case of fancy chips.
Oh, mid-2000s? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone had the fucking table. Like they had
You buy a little kit that had all like little case that had all the chips in it and the pack of cards.
Yep. And yeah, like I said, my friend had like the full Texas Hold'em table, and
sure.
we used to go play, and
it's a fascinating game.
I did fine. But yeah, I liked it for the strategy. It wasn't so much the money that mattered to me, and I just fell off of it.
Yeah, it combines. It's a card game that perfectly combines psychology with analytics, and you have to be good at both in order to play. Even online, you have to know there's psychology to online as well, and analyzing patterns. I just love it. It's brilliant. I'm gonna retire and just become the Hold'em player. You're gonna see me. I'll be the new Sammy Farha. I'm gonna slick my hair back, all the cigarette hanging out of my mouth, or all the gummy hanging out of my mouth, just like that.
Mahjong is similar, actually.
Is it?
It's very
there's psychology involved.
There's a lot of psychology, a little bit of luck, and a lot of psychology.
Well, then it's like Hold'em. Okay, so Game of Thrones came and went. I had not seen a single episode, and I used to have HBO at the condo, and I just never got into it. I just never did. I know it's picked up a lot of steam in the past like 3 years, where it's like you can't avoid it.
Vonnie just started watching it, so I've seen like the first season and a half or something. Now that I'm watching it, I kind of wish I had watched it as it was going along, because it's really not a bad show.
No, it's a great show. That's why it's lasted 10 years.
Yeah.
8 seasons over 10 years. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
just about.
But so I've tried to stay away from some of the more recent spoilers, but I've seen most of them. So watching now, I'm like, well, it's still well acted. It's still well done. It's still fun to watch.
It's tons of money put into it. I mean, from what I hear, this last season was only 6 episodes, but each episode was like an hour and a half or 2 hours. They're like movies almost at this point.
I think they're just hour-long.
They're just hours?
Episodes. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, then I read that like the Night Battle took them like 2 months to film for like that one episode or something ridiculous. This was basically like filming a couple of movies back to back this last season. But what was I gonna say? I remember watching the previews for way back, was it 2010 or whatever, and I was like, oh, I love Sean Bean. Look, there's Sean Bean. It looks like Boromir. He's coming back to be in this show. Then I found out that next year he got killed off. I'm like, what happened to him? Oh, he's dead. I was like, so I couldn't even get into it because I would have got into it just for Sean Bean. And I guess that's what people were shocked about. It's like, oh, anyone could die, and the show twists and turns, and obviously it's based off a book series that's still not finished. It's famously not finished yet. So I think the first 3 or 4 seasons, they built it off the books.
I think everything. I think it was starting with season 7. I think was
no books to build it off anymore.
Or it might have just been 8, but I know that it was like 7 or 8 was.
I think it's been at least a couple seasons from what I've seen.
It was just gonna fly.
So I guess J.R.R. Martin probably told him this is the direction you should go. I guess he probably should have outlined it to him.
George R. Martin. Yeah, George R. Martin.
As I said, did I say George
R. Martin? You said J.R.R. Martin.
I said J.R.R. Martin.
Mixing a little Tolkien.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's the source material way back. So people were disappointed in this season. They felt it was rushed. They felt like some characters, Dragon Lady, whatever her name is, they didn't feel her arc made sense. Other people was like, no, it made sense. Other people said, no, it was rushed, but it kind of made sense. Other people felt betrayed by the character. So overall, there's been a lot of disappointment. Just overall, like it's been middling this season from what I've seen on social media. And then with the finale, people are upset. And then, of course, you get the petitions where people are saying they want to remake the whole season. Remake season 8 HBO. Just spend another, couple $100 million, what have you, $100 million, get all those actors back and remake it. Obviously, that's not going to happen. And I'm not sure what to tell everyone who gets disappointed about their fiction what to do, how it ends. This isn't going to be, an entitled baby sort of conversation.
No.
It could get there eventually. But I will say that for a show like this to even exist is a miracle. A dark, grim fantasy epic that lasted like 9-10 years with
80-something seasons or 80-something episodes, I think.
If you told me like 20 years ago this would be a possibility, I would have said you're absolutely out of your mind. They would make a show like this where it's not just fantasy, but it's dark tones. People get tortured. People get raped. It's Oblivion. It's the grim dark Lord of the Rings, but it's supposed to be well written, and there's intrigue involved. So I would feel blessed that this show got to 8 seasons and it finished up. I know people are disappointed. One of the actors, I think the actress who plays Sansa Stark, who also plays Jean Grey, plays Dark Phoenix, that's coming out soon. She said these petitions are and the backlash is disrespectful to the cast and the crew and for what they put in. And if I was in her shoes, I probably would think something similarly. It's like we busted our asses off to do this, and we can't satisfy everyone and all the people behind the scenes that made this happen. So yeah, of course people have a right to be upset, but I mean, God, I don't know what else you could ask for. Nothing, almost no show ends perfectly. There's very few shows that. I was going to
say very, very few shows. I mean, lots of shows.
Mad Men it was near perfect. I thought Mad Men, and that's regarded as one of the best shows ever. Cheers had a pretty good ending. And that was the biggest show, probably the 80s to early 90s was Cheers, and that ending was huge, and that people were satisfied by that.
I feel like HBO is king of making great shows that don't end particularly fantastically.
What's another one that you
Sopranos, from what I've heard.
Oh, no, from what I've seen, Sopranos was just really misunderstood, and people looking back like, well, no, that was a brilliant ending in retrospect. How it goes to black. That's Tony getting capped.
Well, that's what I always...
Tony got killed.
That's what I always kind of assumed.
Yeah, all the hints are there, and people just didn't pick up on them.
Oz and... I loved Oz.
Was that pretty much the first big HBO show?
It was. I think it was the proto. Yeah.
I remember watching the Seinfeld SNL skit. That was the most hysterical thing ever. Seinfeld goes to Oz. It was the funniest thing because they got all the actors in it. It was great.
I loved that show though. But yeah, the last season got fucking weird and stupid.
I never watched it. Talk about a dark show. I'm not sure I want to watch that one. That's one. That's
a reason why, like, when people say Game of Thrones is really dark, I'm like, maybe I'm all right not watching it. I can't do a lot of dark TV.
I don't. Yeah,
it's weird because I'll avoid really dark TV, and then if I start watching it, I'll slowly get acclimated to it.
Yeah, it's exposure therapy.
But I'm not. It's still not like...
No.
I've got enough reasons to be pissed off right now. In a perfect world, I would watch more dark TV, but I listen to dark music. I read fucking dark books.
Listen to dark music. What are you into?
I don't need to... I don't need to necessarily be watching dark TV. Now, movies, horror movies, stuff like that, I can do because it's a one and done. You sit down, you watch it, and it's finished. But to, like, get into a TV show like that and have 8 seasons of it...
With that budget and that scale, that's what I'm gonna say. That's
but
rare.
I'm just saying, but I'm just saying that's a lot of emotional.
Oh, to get attached.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I don't want to get into it, because I don't want to get into it and then be like, feel like I have to stick up with it. Mm-hmm. Like with Mad Men, I binged Mad Men like a year and a half ago. No, it was only like a year ago. I was here, Castle Country. I got through it in like 2.5 weeks, and I was like, no, that was brilliant. That was worth my time. Definitely worth my time to watch every episode.
I still need to finish that.
But for something like this, where it might seem like a chore to get into, I might be like, especially get disappointed if they recast a few characters. It sounds like, and people are disappointed, and I was just like, I just want to stay away, especially with this petition thing. I'm like, okay, I don't want to go near it. So speaking of petitions, Ian, coming back circle to the beginning of the podcast, originally in 2013. Yeah. The rumor mill is that Robert Pattinson is the front runner to be the new Batman.
Correct.
Robert Pattinson of Pattinson, as I said, right? Pattinson of Twilight fame. He was also Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. Speaking of something I stuck around with for too long, I enjoyed Harry Potter. So of course people were even keeled to this announcement. Oh no, there was obviously another huge backlash and petitions about this as well.
I think people forget that he's an actor who's done a lot.
He's an actor who acts.
And
he's not what's his name, Edward?
Yeah.
He's not the Twilight vampire guy in real life. If you go into a supermarket, he's not going to be Twilight guy.
Yeah.
He's not. I don't think so. He's an actor. So I think we're at a point where now it's to be expected, but it's almost becoming a parody of itself. All the outrage over these announcements.
Yeah,
because it happened with Affleck.
It happened with Keaton.
Happened with Keaton back in the day because he was a comedic actor known for Mr. Mom and things of that nature. Dream Team, Beetlejuice had just come out with Tim Burton, and then. But back then, there's no social media. You don't know about unless you go into a comic shop or watch like Entertainment Tonight.
It was funny though. I saw someone had posted online, talking about like this is
a petition
new.
with
it was a petition with Batman at the top, and it says Michael Keaton is Batman, and then it like has like a paragraph about. It sounds like all the idiots who write today, but it was like. He's a fine comedic actor, but blah 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 blah. And do your duty and sign up, and it like basically, we the undersigned demand that like they change. And so yeah, I mean they would tack them on the walls in comic shops.
Well, here's the thing about petitions that I want to. This is how human psychology works: is that you feel like you're getting something accomplished by lashing out, whether it's online at a certain podcast or signing this. The people making the decisions, though. They have nothing to play off. They can say, oh, yeah, they're angry about this, but they'd probably be more responsive to a positive push for someone.
Right.
If you said, these are the guys we want beforehand, they'd be like, maybe the WB heads be like, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. Because that kind of happened with Christian Bale. Before he was cast in 2005, people are like, we want Christian Bale. This guy was just an American Psycho. He has the look of Bruce Wayne. He's a great actor. So there was a push online about 14 years ago. Wow, 14 years ago, Jesus Christ. 15 years ago, 2004. I remember going on, back then it was like Ain't It Cool News and like Dark Horizons websites, right. Back then before social media, where people were like, we think Christian Bale will be great. And they must have heard that because they cast Christian Bale. Everyone was like, holy shit, this is dream casting. And it worked out fantastic. So I think studio heads are more bound to respond to that versus we hate you, fuck you, do it our way.
Sure. Yeah,
because if you're in that position, you'd be like, well, this is nothing to work off. You make me feel like a piece of shit. Fuck you. Right back.
Yeah, it's not constructive.
It's not constructive. Coming from someone who gets criticized, often. It's not constructive at all, and it just hardens people in the decision-making position. So Robert Pattinson, though, has been putting up good acting chops from what I hear. He's been acting well in indie movies the past six years or so. And reportedly, he doesn't even like Twilight. But guess what? He's an actor. He's got to get paid.
So I just found out that he actually does a commentary track on Twilight.
Okay.
Where he trashes the whole movie while he's talking. I really want to see that.
Okay, that's. I don't know. I know nothing about Twilight.
See that.
So Robert Pattinson could probably get cast and do extremely well. The same way. Well, we didn't complain about the Affleck casting at all. We complained about the direction of the whole DC series.
The casting was the least of my concerns.
But with Heath Ledger, the same thing happened back in 2007. People went out of their fucking minds when he was cast. Oh, he's in all these rom-coms and Brokeback Joker and making joke. No, he's a great actor. So the fact that he can play a gay cowboy and play rom-com stuff, he has a range. He could do the Joker.
Yeah, and
he did it extremely well and won an Oscar posthumously. So relax. Wait for this shit to come out. I'm sure the director will know early on whether or not he's shit. They do things like auditions. They do read-throughs. They do costume tests, makeup tests. They know whether or not someone's going to be shit beforehand.
Now you walk in, they throw you a fresh costume still sealed in the bag, and off you go.
Remember, they recast...
I'm Batman.
They recast Marty in Back to the Future. Like, they were basically done filming the movie. They filmed, like, most of it and had to reshoot a chunk of it.
Who was originally Marty?
Oh, I forget. I feel bad because they won't release any of the footage out of respect to him, but people want to see it. They only put, like, a couple of clips on, like, the 30th anniversary DVD that came out a few years ago. Huh. But it would have been a totally different movie, a darker movie. It was that, I don't know, I forget the guy's name. People in the comments going to. Anyway, the whole point is that that's rare because at that point they usually know who's who. Oh, actually, Michael J. Fox was their first choice to be Marty, but he had to do the Family Ties show.
Oh, right. Eric Stoltz.
That's right. He was huge in the mid 80s.
Yep.
Mid to late 80s. And he still acts. He's still around today. Good old Mr. Stoltz. So anyway, so that's all I'm going to say about the online petitions. They're cute. I think they only work when you're being positive and pushing for something versus the negative backlash, because at that point, I don't know. It gets lost in the fuzziness of the world, we'll just say.